This is one of the quarterfinal rounds in our Portland, Oregon Crossroads event held at Portland Game Store. The top of the screen is Gage playing his Druid deck, and I am at the bottom of the screen also playing a Druid deck. I am playing a mono fire Druid deck. Gage is also playing a fire Druid deck, but he's also running air in his deck composition. We're double checking our mulligans right now. For this tournament, we were playing with second player seer rules as well. So I'm pretty happy with that opening hand. Have a Infiltrate, which is a pretty strong card in this mirror matchup. Firebolts for early damage, and a Warhorse again for early damage. Looks like Gage is on the play, so you saw me do a seer on the top deck there. Turn 1, he plays out of Ruins, gets his Tawny out, and passes turn. Turn 1 for me, get a Forge out, create the Lance, give it to Tawny, and then pass turn. So typically for the like a mono fire Druid deck, I feel like the Forge is a pretty strong turn 1 to get that Lance, get Tawny set up on the back row there with that. Gage is thinking about a second play here. It looks like he wants to play out a Desert, and he's going to play a little more defensively. He's going to play sideways, off to the side there. Desert will just ping itself, no Genesis. Can't make use of that Genesis effect this early. And just passing turn, no 2-drop for him. Turn 2, I am going to play that Remote Desert again, can't make use of the Genesis, and advance forward. It is risky moving forward with Tawny in this mirror matchup, just because Gage is running deserts, and so there is a very real risk of getting pinged off by a desert here. But I went ahead and just made that calculated risk, and even if he can ping Tawny out, I just get it back. I didn't think he'd be in position to necessarily get the Lance. And I do have that Warhorse to be able to maybe pick up that Lance later. So beginning my turn 3 here. I think in my opening hand I had a Fields of Camelon, and so I opted to draw a Sight for turn 3, which I don't typically do. But it felt prudent to keep the fields in hand for use later. So I needed a different site to play out for turn 3 here. So tapping for that site. Tapping for the site is going to be a Forge. I believe I don't pay the 1 for the Lance. I need all 3 mana. Three mana for a Colicky. Colicky will take care of Tawny. It was important that I take care of Tawny that turn if I couldn't pick up the Lance, just because I didn't want Gage flying over and having his Tawny pick up the Lance on the next turn. So better to get the Colicky out. It is not in position to attack in and also get a ping onto his Druid next turn, but it does threaten his Tawny. Dictating kind of where he can play Tawny on the next turn if he doesn't deal with it. Gage gets out another Desert, pings off my Tawny, and then unfortunately for me, plays a Saracen to pick up the Lance on the Desert, and then attack in to remove my Colicky. So great play for Gage there on his turn. Beginning of my turn here, drew a spell for turn. I didn't want to just keep on drawing sights and holding on to that field, so I played it out. It's not a great value right here, and honestly, I guess it usually won't be a great value against the Druid if they have Tawny out and they have another minion out. They are more likely to just choose Tawny to sacrifice and keep the other unit alive, like we see here with the Saracen. Gage chose the Saracen to stay alive. 4 mana for turn in my mana pool. So thinking hard about what to do here with 4 mana in my mana pool. Looks like I have an Immolate, I have an Immolate, I have an Infiltrate. I don't think I want to waste the Infiltrate on the Saracen Raiders. So I opt to just play the Warhorse and then 2 points in. That's actually a misplay looking at it on the video here. The Warhorse should have been played on fields and then run up to the desert, sideways to the desert or up to his ruins. It is a common mistake that players can make when you're playing further up the field than you normally would. Like a standard game, most people tend to meet sites in the middle. So it's easy to forget that that's not their site, that's your site. Even though I just played it that turn, it's just a silly mistake. Gage playing out a Violamp to remove the Warhorse from turn, and then attacking with a Saracen. And then asking to roll that back really quick because he had a Torse Hammer in his hand that he wanted to play. So we go ahead and do that. We just say like he cast the Torse Hammer on the Saracen first, and then attacked him for 4 points of damage. Beginning my turn now, I have 2 things on the board I have to deal with here. The Saracen is in a projectile path for me now, so if I wanted to, I could use those firebolts to remove it. I have 4 mana for turn. I think I drew into that Violamp, which was lucky. So 2 for the Violamp to remove his Violamp from the board, and then there's the firebolts to remove the Saracen. And then I believe Tawny flew up to attack the ruins for a point of damage. And tapping to draw a site and then passing turn. So my hand, I need to start drawing more spells. I need to get some more spells in my hand, I think. I have like Courtesan Thace, which is like an end-game piece, so it's a dead card essentially for most of the game here. I have an Infiltrate, which I could use, but I mean I'm holding on to that. I need I'd like to get a little better value on that target, especially because I know that Gage is running Dapperel Vampires in his deck because he splashed for air. So Dapperel Vampires are very serious threats in against my deck, especially. I'm not running basically any airborne. I think I have Clamor of Harpies and that's it. So I need a way to neutralize those if they hit the board. And the only easy ways I can do that, or the easiest ways I could do that, would be to infiltrate a Dapperel, or I'm also running Disintegrates, so I could disintegrate it if I had to as well. Again, if I had that card though, I don't currently have a Disintegrate in my hand. Gage, weighing his options here. He's currently sitting at 4 mana in his mana pool for turn. Our health scores still pretty even for now. We've been able to do a pretty good job of making trades with each other this game. Playing out a Funeral Pyre to resummon Tawny. It'll banish my cemetery. It doesn't really affect this deck. This deck doesn't have any recursion capabilities. That'll bring him to 5 mana for turn. And looks like he's eyeing a Great Famine. So that is certainly an option that he could play out. He is like this is what I was talking about before though. Like he has 1 air threshold with the ruins. He's now at 5 mana, and so I'm a little nervous about him getting out a piece like the Dapper Vampire, because Dapper Vampire is just a huge swing. If that thing lands on the board and it sticks. No play with 5 mana in his mana pool. He chooses to just pass turn. So he didn't want to get that Feast of Famine out yet, or not Feast, the Great Famine out yet. Wanted to wait until there was a better target for it. It seems. Currently on the board, I have 3 points of damage minimum coming in. He doesn't have any defenders for the Violamp or Tawny on this turn. It looks like I drew into Saracen Raider, which is a good card to have. And I may be wrong, but I think I end up playing the Saracen this turn, so just attacking him for 6. Again, yeah, the Gage now, like noticing and reminding me that the fields is my site, not his. So changing the attack location to his ruins. So 3 points in, 2 from Violamp, 1 from Tawny. Still have 4 mana in my mana pool, and still have the Druid untapped, so I can play a site out. There's the Saracen for another 3 points, so that's 6 points in for this turn, which felt pretty good. And I'm instead of playing a site, I'm drawing a site, and I think the reason for that is the site I was holding in my hand currently was a desert, and I think I thought it was fairly the odds were good that Gage would try to fly Tawny up. And I wanted the desert in hand on the next turn to be able to potentially remove that piece from the board again. It was a risk just because the open square there, where I would most likely play a desert to affect the Tawny wherever he chose to move it, is also adjacent to one of his sites, so he could choose to play that. Play out a site there and play it forward. It was a calculated risk at that time. I think that he didn't have a site in his hand. So I was betting that he would not spend his turn draw to draw a site and then play it out, because he's already sitting at 5 mana base, which is a very good mana base, and it seems more likely that you would draw a spell and then tap your avatar to draw a site at that point, versus the other way around. Gage is thinking pretty hard here. I think he needs to start removing some of these pieces on the board. Whenever one player starts developing a board presence, especially in this type of matchup where we're both running like pretty aggressive mid-range decks, he can't let those pieces stay on the board. uncontested. Like he has to get them out as soon as possible. Just we're looking at what, 3, 6, like 6 points of damage minimum just with what's on board. If nothing changes on his turn. So I mean, at minimum, we're looking at 6 points of damage again on his next turn if he can't deal with those pieces. And he's at 11 health, 6 points of damage, and you can only take that much for so long, like 1-2 turns, and then you're at door. Thinking through his options pretty closely here. Yeah, he's thinking pretty hard. So he's flipping. He's gonna flip his druid early. I guess that's what he was spending so much time pondering, whether or not he was gonna do that. He's gonna flip, get Brune out. That will help him with the Violimp and Tawny on his ruins. Although I guess Tawny could fly and attack, and could attack one of his other deserts. So flipping, he still has 5 mana in his mana pool. Looks like he changed his mind. He's going to roll that back real quick since he hasn't made any other plays this turn. He is instead going to tap for a sight. Looks like a lone tower. He almost played. I guess he did have a sight in his hand, so he almost played it where I didn't want it to go. But he changed his mind and played it more defensively instead. And he needed to play the side out because he wanted to play the Infernal Legion instead. So Infernal Legion is going to sweep out all of my minions from the board. And he's going to do 3 points of damage to himself as well. So he's taking that calculated risk to basically board wipe me with the Infernal Legion. Unfortunately for him, the Infernal Legion isn't in attack position. And so when I'm looking at my turn here, I feel a little more confident in that I have at least one turn before the Legion can get to me. And I think what I'm plotting out right now is that he moved up his Tawny, so it is in position to get pinged by the desert, which is what I wanted. So that will remove that. That will summon my Tawny. My Tawny is going to be within range the next time, by his next turn, when he is going to, I assume, move the Infernal Legion forward onto that forward desert to start getting into range to attack. And at that point, my Tawny is in range to cast, I think I have an Immolation in my hand, and that'll take care of the Infernal Legion. At least that's my thought process this turn. So I'm not concerned with dealing with it this turn. I just need to make sure that I'm not playing anything on Fields of Camelon or that Forge that will be in its potential path when he ends his next turn and then it combusts. Instead, I play out a Morgana. Morgana onto my back row with a comes in with stealth. I felt reasonably safe on that back row just because there weren't as many. I didn't think there were as many ways for him to get Morgana back there. He runs minor explosions. And he wouldn't have been able to either get Tawny in position or he wouldn't have been able to get Tawny in position for a minor explosion. But instead, yeah, it looks like he flipped Druid at this point and is playing out a Great Famine. Great Famine will remove Morgana, unfortunately, at the end of his turn. And then he moves up the Infernal Legion, like I expected him to. For using his last 2 mana to play Highland Princess. Highland Princess fetching Ring of Morgan. So I'm a little sad that Morgana was removed. There were some things in Morgana's hand that I was looking forward to being able to play next turn. Yeah, like she had a Cone of Flame. She had, I think, a Pact with the Devil, which would have been nice. But I still feel like I'm in pretty good position here. It's likely that his Great Famine is going to dispel on his next turn. I am in position, and I have the card I need to take care of his Infernal Legion. So I think you're going to see that immediately here. I'm just going to pay 1 for the Immolation to get rid of that from the board. And then that will leave me with 5 mana in my mana pool, with the option to also play a Sight Out. And I think I do play the Sight Out this turn. Sight looks like a Forge. So I think I'm just taking a minute here to weigh my options. But I definitely want to do that Immolation. I think I still also have that. I also have that Infiltrate in my hand. Infernal Legion, not a great piece to infiltrate, just because at the end of turn when it does that combustion, it can you can potentially lose control of it immediately. Now there wasn't anything for it to combust, but I didn't want to take that risk. I think it would be a better play to infiltrate an Infernal Legion, maybe if they were already at death's door. Attacking into Desert with my Tawny, and he's opting to trade with the Highland Princess. That was fine. I just want to get that piece off the board just in case it becomes relevant later. Re-summoning Tawny by playing out that Forge. He's now flipped with Brune, so at this point I had remembered that and played the Forge back because I can't play it right next, adjacent to Fields of Camelon. Otherwise, Tawny would immediately die. And a better use of the Infiltrate there to infiltrate into Brune. So that's going to remove his Brune and give me another resource here to either get him to door or deal the killing blow if he stays within range. Passing turn, Gage plays Ascalon Phoenix. Ascalon Phoenix is a very dangerous piece against my deck. Just as a mono fire deck, I have limited ways to respond to that. A Disintegrate would do it, or a Great Famine would do it. Otherwise, for combat, the only things I have, the only minions I have that are on fire are the Tawny token and then the Brune token if I'm flipped. Gage at 1 mana left in his mana pool. He still has this Druid untapped. He's thinking about what he wants to. I think he's just. It looks like he's debating whether or not to cast the ring. Yeah, so he's gonna cast the ring with his last point of mana, and then the Druid can either reposition itself by moving, or he can tap for a sight. Looks like he's going to choose to move instead. At the end of his turn, his Great Famine will dispel at the bottom of the board there. And I'm going to get set up for my turn here. So I asked him how many cards he had in his hand at this point. He has three spells left. Drawing a spell. I draw into a Great Famine, which was really lucky. And that's the piece that I needed to take care of that Ascalon Phoenix. So you're going to see that come out for sure. Great Famine, I think 4, so it leaves me with 2 mana. I don't think I have anything left to cast with 2 mana. But definitely need to get that out to remove the Phoenix as soon as possible. And then moving with Tawny carrying the lance, taking a step up with my Druid. And then choosing to leave Bruin outside of that Great Famine for now. Passing turn. Gage is starting his turn here. I'm pretty happy with the positioning on that Great Famine. It definitely limits where he can summon his minions to. He does have some charge minions to help get around that a little bit. And unfortunately, he is flipped, so I can't get Tawny onto one of his sites easily. He's tapping his Druid for a sight. And that's what I was talking about a second ago. So he's casting the red caps. The red caps have charge. And then puts a Torse Hammer on it and then attacks off of his sight. So at the end of my next turn, it won't be in position to get eaten by the Great Famine. So those 4 points of damage in. Uh, 4 points of damage in, cost them 4 mana. It's going to pass turn back. Choosing to draw a spell for turn. He's asking about activating the ring ability. So yeah, he would get 1 ping off of the ring when he casts the Torse Hammer after he casts the red caps. So we're gonna go ahead and adjust that really quick. And then Gage saying he doesn't use the ring. He hasn't used the ring that often before, so he's just like not super familiar with how that works. He was asking if when he casts the red caps, if he would get a ping off of that too. Unfortunately, he doesn't get that ping just because you can't ping the minion that you're casting, just because it hasn't resolved at that point in order to target it. And he doesn't have any other targets to ping when he casts the red caps because Bruin is in stealth and can't be targeted. So I'm still looking at my options here. I got 6 mana on my mana pool. I think right now I'm thinking there are no other minions within the aura for Great Famine, so it would dispel at the end of my turn. However, I do have an infiltrated Bruin, and it might just be worth attacking in with Bruin to get that damage in on his desert that his Druid is on, and then killing Bruin at the end of turn with the Great Famine. So that would force the Great Famine to stick around for 1 more turn, and then also just take care of the Bruin token when I lose the infiltrate and control flips back to Gage. So it just seemed like a pretty good value proposition to be able to get that damage in and then get the piece removed. So I think I'm just double checking that. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what I end up doing here. And then if my memory is correct, I also have another pretty appealing play on this turn as well. Yeah, so there's a Boudica. A Boudica for +3 on the strike to the site. So Bruin attacks in. It's going to do 4 + 3, 7 points in. And, I mean, I wish I could attack in with Tawny, but I cannot. So dropping the lance is for the Druid, just so the Druid can maybe make more use of it. Druid continuing to advance up because I want to get him cornered here. And I believe that's a misplay on our part. When I move up, I should take a point of damage from his Druid aura, but I don't think we end up catching that. It's the Druid ability is really sneaky. It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about that piece. The Druid it has so many abilities that it is frequently overlooked when you're at door, and like both players are stressed at the end of the game, and the board has developed into a weird, complicated state. But yeah, that definitely should have been another a point of damage onto me there. Gage playing a Trinket and a Graham Kasarme onto the red caps, swinging in for 8 points of damage. Disenchanting Great Famine to get another ping in for a point of damage. Moving up with his Druid and then passing turn. So yeah, I mean, like technically I should be at door, which is not a great situation for me. Again, we didn't catch that, so we both still think I'm at 1 point here. Drawing a spell for turn. I draw into an infiltrate. And I think if we had recorded the damage correctly on the last turn, he's basically won the game at that point. Just because I would have been at door on this turn, and then on his next turn, all he has to do is cast the spell with Ring of Morgan, and that would do the final point of damage for me. But currently, during the game at this point in time, like the board state, we didn't calculate that. We both still thought I was at 1 point, and then I come up with an entirely different way to screw up this game for me. So I have the pieces in here, I think, to have a pretty good end run if the life totals were still correct here at 6 and 1. I play a monstrous lion, and then I attack in to get the door. And I'm not thinking correctly here because I'm forgetting again that if I take a step within Gage's aura, I'm going to take a point of damage to go to door. And my whole strategy is based on not going to door, bringing him to door, and then being able to play a Courtesan Thace on my next turn, which I have in hand. So I definitely just breezed past that. I 100% forgot that moving in would do another point of damage to me, and take me to door. I just telling Gage, oh, I totally forgot about, like, spaced on that. I didn't realize I was just walking in, like, just giving him the game at the end there. Gage saying, like, ooh, you know, like, he's offering to let us roll it back, but it's like, I said no, because that's, you know, that was my mistake to make, and I made it, and that's fine. I think, like, better play again. I think he still had that game in the bag if we had calculated the life. That extra life ping correctly earlier. But if I was still at 1 point on that previous turn, it would have been a better play to infiltrate into the red caps. Infiltrate into the red caps. See if I could get him to door on my next turn, and then Courtesan Thace immediately for a win. But that started getting a little iffy on that line to victory there. So great game played against Gage, and we'll move on to the semifinal rounds.